Mm. Yes.
That's so much fun. So I'm very curious to know the different sounds that you use. What is vocal yoga?
In a nutshell, I would say that vocal yoga is a combination of voice work and body work.
Can you tell me a little more on the history of vocal yoga?
When we are stressed, when we're in a hurry, when we are anxious, the breathing changes and it becomes very, very shallow. And I guess trauma is a big word, but most of the people carry a lot of negative experiences. What do you think would be the percentage of air that comes out through the mouth when we speak?
20%?
But of course, we want to make sure that everything we do is done in a gentle, pleasant way.
Wow.
I hope I answered your question. That was a long answer to a short question.
It is.
Yeah.
How about the animal sound?
Meow, meow. We would bark like woof, woof, woof. Ah. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me.
Today we welcome a voice that doesn't just perform, it heals. A New York University trained vocalist, certified vocal yoga teacher, sound therapist, and singer-songwriter, Ludmi, brings together science, sound, and soul in a truly unique way. Having taught across Europe and Asia, she has helped people reconnect with their voice, releasing blocks and rediscovering their authentic expression. Deeply immersed in the world of sound healing and associated with Swaram sound experience in Auroville, bridging the worlds of performance and therapy, she invites us to experience sound in a way that goes beyond listening into feeling. Join us as we explore the power of voice, vibration, and inner resonance. Welcome, Ludmi. Okay, so vocal yoga is such an intriguing term and it's very less known globally. Let's start with basics. What is vocal yoga?
Okay, so thank you for the question. So in a nutshell, I would say that vocal yoga is a combination of voice work and body work, where yoga also falls into picture. So this combination aims at primarily open up your voice and the person, yourself as a person, as a human being through that voice, but also it really helps you relax, gain confidence in yourself, open up, find that sense of liberation and freedom in your body, in yourself, in your expression. So I would say that the method or the toolbox that I use is quite big, but depending on who comes and what the person's goals are, I might still sometimes even use the same tools for two completely different individuals, but it would give different results. For somebody, it would be open up the voice for public speaking. For another person, it would be for calming down and resetting nervous system and just to feel good, to improve overall well-being of a person.
So, like in simple terms, how would you define vocal yoga? Like just
That
one
wasn't
line.
simple.
No, what I mean
combination.
is like we've heard of physical yoga, but
Yes, so a combination of voice work and body work, but I guess to bring it into more simple terms and words, the practice would be a combination of movement and sound production. So we are not just working on the voice, doing some warm-ups, which is very typical in singing classes, singing lessons, voice training. It's more active. We are accessing voice together as an integral part of the body. And in a session, no matter what your goal is, no matter what your motivation is for it, you would be moving and sounding. So it's loud and it's also active. How active that could vary, but for sure when people come, I will always ask people to come wearing comfortable clothing, and for sure there's going to be some sound production involved because we are working on the voice. You cannot do it quietly. Okay.
That's exciting.
And it's fun usually.
I'm sure. I've attended one and I loved it.
Thank you.
Hence this conversation. But is it meant for everyone?
I would say absolutely. Absolutely. Because it can cover so many different needs, as I said, from professionals, voice users like singers, actors, public speakers, to anybody who just wants to use that tool, actually several tools, being voice and body in combination together to improve their life, improve the way they feel, improve their well-being.
So it can become a part of their daily practice.
Yes. So I have students who attend sessions weekly, and none of them are professional voice users. It's all kinds of different people who just do it because it makes them feel really good. It makes them feel relaxed, yet energized. Their voices open up, but again, some people don't do it primarily to open up their voice. It's just for them a great side effect. They just enjoy the way they feel, they enjoy their bodies feel, enjoy the state they're in after the session, and that's the reason they come back.
It's therapeutic, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, it is therapeutic.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little more on the history of vocal yoga? Like, where was it founded? How did it?
Sure. I think by now, vocal yoga is quite a widespread term that is used to cover many different things. And when I came across it, I can tell you more about how that happened. Can I start with a little bit of that background story of how I got into this, and that will cover all that.
Yeah.
Because I was singing since I was a child, and that was a part of the journey. Also played classical piano. My mom is a psychotherapist, so since a very young age, I was involved in all kinds of different practices, primarily body-oriented therapy, and I would go quite often every few months for retreats with adults. And so when I was in my early 20s and I was asked for singing class, when that happened, I brought in a lot of that background naturally, without really telling the person, oh, we're going to combine body work and voice work in a class. Just when I got that opportunity to teach, that's how it happened. The body was actively involved. And later on, I started practicing yoga back in Prague, where I used to live for many years. And I started noticing how many similarities there are between yoga, pranayama, and classical voice training. And I noticed it. I noticed how asana practice helps me open up my voice, even when it's not combined, even when I just do a yoga class, and the way my voice changes after it is incredible. So I wanted to look into whether or not somebody is already doing the combination of yoga, body work, and voice training, sound production simultaneously. And I started looking online. Just put vocal yoga on Google, and I saw quite a few entries. And just to answer your previous question, sometimes vocal yoga, even back in the day, I think that was 2000, it was right before COVID, so 18, 19. Sometimes the term vocal yoga was used simply for mantra singing or nada yoga. But then I found my teacher who actually really combined the two in a very scientific way. And I studied with her and got my, let's say, more formal foundation in this particular narrow field. But now I see that vocal yoga is becoming even more and more popular in different countries. But again, it's used to it's used to name different practices, not necessarily what I'm doing. Because I've been to several like holistic voice training sessions where it's more about opening up your voice in Indian tradition. As I said, Nanda yoga, mantra singing, it can sometimes be called vocal yoga too. But it's not exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
Wow.
I hope I answered your question. That was a long answer to a short question.
It is. I love it. I mean, you've crossed a journey in it. And I think in India, it's rare. You were the first person, I came across who was doing this. And I was very delighted to know that somebody has got this here. And it's a very enriching experience. So hence, I want to go deeper into it.
Sure.
Like, let's talk about the science of this. What does it do to your body exactly?
It does many different things.
Yeah.
So we can look at it from, let's say, physiological and psychological perspectives that are very difficult to separate. Yet sometimes we separate them, but when you bring them together, the practice becomes way more effective. So when it comes to wanting to open up one's voice, to do voice training or speech training, we work with the voice through breathing. And oftentimes it's done in a static way. Just the person is standing or sitting while we're working on the voice. I find it very incomplete because in a static position, it's way easier to get tension in your body, especially when you feel conscious about what you're doing, when you are scared, maybe to open up your voice, even in front of your teacher, which is very common for people. When we bring that body element, first of all, it brings our attention from the mind, overanalyzing, what will she or he say? Am I doing it right? And I'm going to make a mistake. Am I going to fail? Bringing their attention into the body. So movement really helps with that. And also when it comes to more physiology, we use that movement to activate the airflow in the body, to basically invite a deeper breath. Because most of us breathe in a very shallow way, especially when we are stressed, when we're in a hurry, when we are anxious, the breathing changes and it becomes very, very shallow. And also it brings tension to the areas that surround your vocal apparatus, your vocal folds right here. I know because we start breathing like this, sometimes lifting the shoulders, the clavicle bones, the tank, and the neck can, expand, the veins start popping out. So movement helps to deepen the breath, and the breath is the foundation. It's the fuel for the voice, because our speech, our voice is happening on the exhalation. So the way we breathe and the way we exhale will reflect in the voice. It's basically equal. The way we breathe, the way we exhale is how we produce the sound of the voice. If the breathing is shallow, we will be running out of breath. Most likely, the voice might not be as audible. It could be very high pitched all of a sudden because we don't have control, and we cannot have that control if the breathing is shallow. And then when we improve the quality of the breath, we also start working on the quality of that exhalation to make it continuous, to make it steady. And generally, the more airflow, the louder the voice.
Yeah.
But of course, we want to make sure that everything we do is done in a gentle, pleasant way, both physiologically and psychologically. Moving, I guess, to psychological reasons, we do hold so much in our body that when it comes to opening up the voice, opening up the person through the voice, sometimes it's impossible to go through all the layers of tension, all the layers of certain experiences that become like second, third, 20th, 50th skin on one's body in a form of tension. Sometimes even physical ailments.
Yeah.
And blockages, of course, when it comes to the work that I do with the voice, that word blockage and block is very, very popular. And I think people use it to describe both, again, physiological blockages such as, a lot of tension and strain in the throat, around your larynx, and also to describe that blockage to express freely, to speak up. So again, this word is falling into both domains, physiological and psychological.
It's like a release of a lot of stress and negative energy in a way, broadly.
Absolutely. And I would say that without accessing the body and moving through stored negative experience and even trauma, it's impossible to release it. We cannot, I don't want to say we cannot, but it would be far less effective to do things in a static way, because if we cannot really separate the voice from the body. It's inside the body, it's coming from the body. So we need to look at it in a holistic way. And that for me primarily is what this work is about. We can call it vocal yoga. We can call it also many different ways, voice therapy. In different countries, there are different regulations on how these terms can be used. Primarily, I think in the States, in America, they're very strict about how to use their terms. In this part of the world, we can use all kinds of names for different things. So again, we can use different names, but the core of it is a holistic approach to opening one's voice.
Amazing.
I'm sure there is more I haven't mentioned to answer that question, because it's a very big question. I'm sure it will come.
So I also remember, you talking of the chakras and the correlation of the sounds with the chakras. And we were in the session, there was a sequence. So do you want to
my
refer?
session.
The animal voices that we did.
They were not reflected to chakras. So I do not necessarily work directly with chakras, and generally my background is way more Western. Yes, Western. But speaking of chakras, one thing I can say is that as adults, we know how to suppress things very well. From that state of being a very free and uninhibited child who doesn't have any filters, and we express a lot of things, if not most of the things, through the voice, our needs, our desires. And a child is a beautiful example. A child is a beautiful example of that. Actually, even before we learn words and speech, we're already super expressive vocally. Even the moment we enter this world, we enter it with a beautiful cry.
Yeah.
Right? But
exactly.
when we reach adulthood, for certain reasons, most of us adults are scared to use the voices, especially on public. Public speaking is statistically number one fear in the world. People mention it more often than the fear of death. So something happens to us during that process of growing up that we lose touch with the voice, with that ability to freely express ourselves. And all that leads to a lot of suppression. And basically, when we suppress, we keep things inside. When we express, we share thoughts, ideas, even our voices outwards. And when we don't let that happen for certain reasons, it, piles up. We want to say something, but we don't let ourselves, and it stays inside. So I feel like from the energetic point of view, the least I can say is that when we suppress a lot, all of it gets stuck here around this throat chakra, right? The center of our expression. Also probably affects the way we are able to express, making it even harder. And even sometimes manifests in physical sensations like a lump in the throat. A lot of people mention it. I get a lot of people who come and say, I feel like I have a lump in the throat. I check, there is nothing, but I feel it. I feel it present there.
Also like a pit in the stomach, which probably
yes,
goes down.
kind of correlates. Yes. And so the only way out of it is to find that expression gradually in a comfortable environment. Yes, to start slowly.
So you
that.
you spoke on traumas and the baggage that we all carry, right?
Mm-hmm.
How effective is vocal therapy or vocal yoga to release those. So if I choose to only do this,
Mm-hmm.
will that be enough? Or do I need to combine it with a couple of more? Like, what's the right combination?
I would say that there is no one clear answer to that. It would depend on every person individually, because I would personally not take a person whose trauma is very severe, somebody who maybe experienced some natural disaster, something that serious, if it affects the person deeply and it manifests in different ailments in the body, definitely this would not be enough. I'm just being very honest. It would not be enough.
Sure.
But depending on the trauma, and I guess trauma is a big word, but most of the people carry a lot of negative experiences that affect them on a daily basis. So in that case, vocal yoga can be very effective, or it can become one of the tools in a box. But let's get back to your question, because I think I deviated a little bit. So your question was about how effective this practice can be for trauma. So basically, we are talking about
For
using
release. Like, I'm
for
also
release.
referring to,
Mhm.
the inner child.
Okay.
Because I definitely feel there's a correlation
Yes.
to our voice and the inner child. Like you spoke on the stage fright.
Yes.
I think the disconnection from that child,
Mhm.
which we are naturally a very expressive energy,
Mm-hmm.
also leads to the fright.
Absolutely. So I guess I understood the question better now. Thank you. So when it comes to this practice, it really helps release everything that was suppressed and stored in the body, including negative experiences and traumas, because we are not only releasing them by movement, but also by adding the element of vibration, of sound production, in other words, vibration. So it becomes movement plus sound healing, self-induced sound healing.
Yeah. Wow. It's
and
so
it
powerful.
fosters that release outwards. The best way, from the physical point of view, the best way is to shake things out.
Yeah.
But also when we add the element of the voice, when we start making sounds freely, and usually in the practice, we're not making pretty sounds. Everybody thinks that singing classes or anything related to the voice will be you coming to the class and doing la 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 la. And this is also what we see in media, in movies oftentimes. But it's not the case even in classical voice training. And if it is, it's not extremely effective, because if the person has a lot of tension and no technique, even when we're speaking about people wanting to sing, for example, you would do la, 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 and you would just make your existing habits stronger and stronger. To actually make some shift, you need to make all kinds of crazy, funny sounds, sometimes with your mouth closed. And especially when it comes to releasing things from your body, something that might have been stored for decades, you're not going to do it by sounding pretty or by trying to be appropriate. That's what we are trying all the time. We are trying to be appropriate. We are trying to do things perfectly in the right way, and we are scared of doing it in any other way. So we are scared of making a mistake. And that's the biggest thing that blocks us all. And it's also something that blocks our expression. We are scared to say something wrong, or we are scared that something we're going to say is going to be judged or not liked by somebody.
It's like reconnecting
That's what blocks us.
to your child.
So in the practice, we're actually allowing ourselves, and I guess from the moment people enter, if it's in the physical space or maybe Zoom space, I ask people to use this time and space to allow themselves be in any way they would naturally be. Sometimes we are so used to suppressing every single sound as simple and small as a sigh out and exhalation, even when we are by ourselves, or the sound of yawning. People like,
Oh yeah, even burping.
well,
Oh.
yeah, and I don't talk about burping so much in my class. I don't like, okay, now burp with sound. But
I mean, of course, it's etiquette, but I'm just
yes,
saying
and okay,
it's
etiquette
natural.
is great
Yeah.
outside when you are with people, but when you get into a space where you are allowed and encouraged to just be and express yourself freely, because sometimes I would come for another yoga class and we would just sit in a circle and sing ragas
Yeah.
without any work, without any preparation. Everybody's just singing.
Yeah,
And it's great if you have people who are, I don't know, warmed up
Yeah,
or
yeah,
used to
yeah.
it. But
We did
when
that
you
with
do-
Aurelio once on
Yes.
the rooftop.
Mhm.
The last day, I think.
Nada yoga.
Yeah. Which is just organic sounds.
Yes.
Whatever comes to you.
Yes, which is also great. And I love Aurelio, and he's one of my biggest
Legend.
mentors and teachers for sure. But I also believe that if the person comes with a lot of baggage, and I guess we show in this place a lot of tension and strain in the voice. Maybe it's not there all the time, but when he or she needs to actually use the voice in front of other people, it's suddenly there. And there is a reason for that, like physiological reason for why it affects us all in that way when we are scared, when we are anxious. And if you go to a class where you're asked to sing immediately for an hour, it's very, very likely that the person will be using the voice in that very same way, which can create even more tension.
Yeah.
So, like, if we are just starting to sing and speak for long periods of time using our old habits, now, again, given those habits are ineffective or somehow damaging, for the voice, it will lead to more tension. And we need to break those
Break the
patterns.
pattern.
And from the physiological perspective, those usually sound less pretty than la 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 or Saragama
That's
Padanisa.
my next
Yes.
question. I want
They
to know.
sound less pretty. And I also know that for many people, even teenagers, like I've done some work with teenagers, and I was surprised that even teenagers are sometimes even worse than adults because they want to be like adults. So they want to be suppressed. They don't want to do anything silly sounding or stupid looking.
Yeah.
They want to be serious.
Yeah.
And
Very protected.
yes,
I think
yes,
pretty
yes.
is the outcome. But you got to start with
Sure.
releasing.
Pretty is an outcome, but I would love to work with more motivation than just pretty. Pretty is quite shallow. What's
That's
under
what-
that?
Yeah.
What's under that? You want to feel good. You want to feel comfortable and
Yeah.
free expressing yourself.
I think the aura
Yes.
expands.
But also what I wanted to say is that when it comes to people attending classes, I know that it's very challenging for both adults and even teenagers to allow themselves to be silly, funny, to make the sounds they might have not made since their childhood. It takes a lot of preparation sometimes. And
It
that's
does.
why oftentimes when I do workshops, I try to insist on a minimum of 3-4 hours because there needs to be a preparation for people to start feeling comfortable
Yeah.
to express themselves freely in that space.
Oh, I can talk out of my experience. I remember there was resistance because we are not used to it.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
We never make those funny sounds or like natural sounds which
Mhm.
are unusual for us
Mm-hmm.
in normal life. So I remember it took me also time, most of us in the group.
Yeah, and I believe in
kind
that
of-
session you did, it was Svaram training, right? Module 2. Yes, it was a shorter session, so it was mainly practical. But
Yeah.
when we do deeper work, there is a whole section during the workshop that I do to loosen people up, not only in their bodies, but also in their minds,
Minds.
to make them more comfortable to more comfortable
Just let go.
with themselves. And I work a lot in that space with that fear of making a mistake, because really in the core, that's the main blockage to everything. And not only when it comes to vocal expression, to pretty much anything in life. We're so scared to make a mistake that we prefer not to do it at all. At all. Same with expressing ourselves or saying something, and definitely publicly. So that work is there. And of course, that work is most effective when it includes movement and body.
So 4
work.
hours is an ideal.
Yeah,
time
4 hours
for
is
a
ideal
workshop?
for a group. Absolutely. Like yes, 4 hours is an ideal time.
Yeah.
Because it really is the time that allows for a shift to happen. Of course, sometimes it happens much faster, much quicker. Maybe in a 90-minute session, people can achieve a lot and leave feeling completely differently in their bodies, in their voices, in their minds. But usually for me to kind of make sure that, people get something real out of this,
Yeah.
it requires time, especially in a group. I guess in a private session, it's private, so you can really focus on that one individual. Things can be done faster, like 75, 90 minutes would be the minimum. But in a group format, yes. But also it's beautiful that in a group format, we can really do sometimes much more. There are certain things you need others
I'm
to
sure.
do. Yeah.
And take us through the sequence of the workshop.
Whew. So if we are taking this 4-hour workshop, I don't know if we should start calling it the signature one because I've literally been doing it for years now. And I thought it would evolve a lot. And of course, like the way I'm living and experiencing life and also learning different modalities, I bring bits and pieces, but somehow the structure at the course stays the same. So usually we meet, we share about our relationships with the voices, and people share what brought them there, why they decided to come to a workshop, to a session. Then I usually speak about the psychological parts related to the voice, all that suppression versus expression, and the journey we take from a child to adult, leading to that section where we really try to let go of that fear of making a mistake. And I usually do it before we get into the actual sequence of vocal yoga, where it's a sound combined with movement, because you need to prepare yourself mentally for that. Because as I said, for many people, it is very difficult to come out of that
Shell.
shell, maybe we can call it that, but also just to come out of that appropriate
Facade.
yes, and to get into
Yeah.
all the silliness even sometimes.
Just be yourself.
Yes, but also we cannot find that freedom in expression, freedom in being ourselves without a little bit of silliness.
Yeah.
That's what brings us to our childlike state,
True.
to that free, joyous, happy state. If we remain serious all the time, we cannot get there. That silliness and childlikeness, I don't know if I can say it,
Yeah. Yeah.
it gives that feeling of freedom. So
Yeah, and
this
it's so
is one of
contagious.
the,
I think
yes,
it's
especially when I do it in
adorable
the
when
group,
you
it's
meet
very
people
nice.
who
When-
have this very liberating kind of an energy.
Yes, and it's always
think
beautiful
it's-
to see adults usually like with their eyes shining
Yeah.
and very active, very loud all of a sudden,
Yeah.
which is not necessarily the goal. So it's not the goal of the practice or of the workshop to become loud. No, some people need the opposite. Some people strain their voices so much that they scream every time they express
Yeah.
themselves. It's
I would say it's just getting back to your own rhythm,
sure.
whatever it is.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
whatever it needs. also
Yeah.
at that particular moment. So going back to the workshop, just to conclude, yes,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it.
So you start with the talking session,
Yeah,
and
talking
then
and some theory. There would be, psychological part of the theory, then physiological part of the theory, and that could vary a little bit. But for sure, there is a lot of work done on loosening people up, opening people up before we even go to the actual practice. And then, of course, the actual practice happens where it's the movement combined with sound production. And usually, if I do get 4 hours, hopefully there's going to be some part of the workshop, the culmination where we get to use the voices, whether it's a non-choir or just some intuitive singing in a group or even singing a song. Because, there has been a lot of work done by then, and it's the time where I would want to let people experience the voice, the new voice, the voice that changed, and how they would feel differently using their voices as compared to the beginning. So that would be a very important part, like the cherry on top after all the work that has been done. Yeah.
it's
So,
such an amazing.
but then,
feeling,
now that I mentioned all that, I think really 4 hours is
it's
required.
ideal.
Yes. But of course, it can be much longer. And if we have
maybe
more
frequent,
sessions,
yeah.
if it's frequently, say, a few days in a row, it can be broken down into smaller sessions,
So
shorter
if
sessions.
let's say I want to start doing this in my daily life,
Mhm.
one workshop is good
Mhm.
enough for me to start. Are there levels to this, or
For sure. And I usually invite people to the workshop, even if they want to continue, even if they reached out to me for personal sessions, because sometimes what you can experience in the workshop in a
Yeah.
group setting is very different.
True.
Yet it would cover everything I would still have to cover in a private session with a person.
Yeah.
Maybe in a private session, of course, it gives you that comfort as a person, right? As a client, as a student, comfort of sharing more privately than you would have shared in a group. But other than that, there are lots of things that we can only do in a group.
In a group. So,
And
but
offline.
one workshop is enough for me? Like, what's the recommendation? In the sense for me to
I leave it up
start-
to people. Maybe I should frame it a little bit more, but usually people know. For some people, one workshop has been some kind of a milestone. They feel a shift and they just can carry on with their lives, feeling different.
and doing it
Maybe it's a
on their
slight
own.
change. Maybe doing it to the own. I don't really believe in that so much. I think we need a lot of motivation to do something on our own, which most of us adults don't have. I'm speaking from my personal experience. It's very difficult to
I
keep
agree with
routines
you.
of things. Yes, especially when you are, I don't know, busy in your life, having a family. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter, family, not family. I guess most of adults are very busy, so it's difficult to do things on their own. But if that's the person's choice, it's wonderful.
And 10 minutes a day is good enough for me? Or what's
It's better
the
than nothing. 10 minutes a day
ideal?
is better
Tell me
than
the
nothing.
ideal.
Yes, tell you the ideal. It would depend on your needs, on your goals. So say you just want to keep your voice functioning properly. For example, for you as a person who uses the voice a lot, I imagine you speak a lot, doing podcasts and in your daily work, and I'm sure in your private life also. So for you to keep it smooth, comfortable, tension free, maybe up to half an hour a day would be great. But again, I'm the same as everybody else, and I know how difficult it is. So I often say, and this is true, 100% true, that the frequency is more important than duration. So if you can incorporate even 2 minutes a day of 1-2 exercises that you can do, it's gonna bring a bigger change than doing a session once in the blue moon, once in a month. Yes. So you start small. But of course, you can start small ideally after you've done something big, after you noticed that things can feel different, that your voice can feel different. And I bring this word feel because it's very important, because we are usually very focused on the outcome. And when it comes to the voice, we are often very focused on what it's going to sound like. But it's also very important about what it feels like.
Feeling is, yeah.
Overall in your body, but also in this particular part of your body. And also, so many of us carry a lot of tension to an extent that we don't realize that it's there until we actually release it. And then like, often people say like, oh my God, I didn't even know there was so much there. Now I feel so much lighter. And therefore...
So where all do you feel I can feel the effect? Pre and post a session, what are the effects that a person can feel?
You're talking about all the effects that
overall
there can be?
Yeah. Like the immediate ones. Like you said, in your throat you feel
so usually
more free.
You will feel free. I use this word because it's very true, but at the same time I like to get a little bit more specific, and free can mean many different things to different people, right? What often happens is that when we have tension, we feel the voice only in the throat. Maybe you feel it as a lump or just as something being stuck there, or maybe you just feel the vibration only here. When it comes to the voice, because we know about vocal folds, vocal cords, we know that they're located somewhere here. When we need to speak up, speak louder, even sing louder, sing higher notes, many of us feel like if we squeeze something here, if we manipulate something in this area, it's going to help. We'll speak louder, etc., etc. But it's not the case, really. And usually it leads to more tension. And sometimes if this is the habit for a long time, it can lead to certain problems and even,
So immediately after a session, I feel some energy shift.
I would say you would feel some release, whether it is emotional, psychological, or physical and very tangible. There'll be certain release of tension. If we speak about the physiological parts, most commonly, most likely, it will happen in your throat. Because in the session also we are really relaxing this upper part of the body that surrounds our throat, our larynx, our vocal folds, because any tension here can manifest in tension on our vocal folds. And then working on activating the body so that the body starts supporting the voice. So that rather than straining and gaining power from the throat, which is not a very effective long-term solution, we are accumulating that power from the body. And therefore, from the physiological level, it would definitely bring relaxation in this area. And usually how the person could notice it in the body is about the placement of where you feel the vibration of your voice. But also I have to mention that for many people, it's challenging even to notice vibrations in the body.
It is.
It all would depend on how sensitive the person is and how connected or disconnected from the body the person is. Because sometimes I ask, where do you feel the vibration of your voice? And the person cannot answer. It's like, what do you mean? Let me try again. But when it comes to tension and tension release, most of the times when there is tension, we would feel the voice only in the throat. Only in the throat. Once the tension is being released, we start feeling those vibrations in other parts of the body, maybe in your chest, maybe in your face, maybe even lower. I can feel vibration in my sitting bones now when I speak. But certainly for me, as an indicator, if the person starts feeling vibrations in other parts of the body other than just the throat, it would mean that, by removing those blockages and real blockages, physical blockages in the form of tension, the vibration of the voice is able to spread further.
And all the energy matrix, basically.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm speaking more on the physiological, literally physiological level. And then what happens, we have this beautiful healing instrument inside the body.
Yeah.
If everything around is tense and stiff, that sound cannot travel. It's stuck. Once we bring relaxation, and we are literally working on relaxing this part as well, it can spread. And then actually your voice can become a healing instrument for your whole body. It's literally also a sound healing that we can offer ourselves.
Oh, it's very powerful.
Yes. And also another thing I think we haven't covered just yet, another reason why the vibration or the practice that helps us cultivate this vibration in a healthier and more effective way is so healing is because we are resetting our nervous system each time we spend time with our voice. We dedicate this time to open the voice, because when we make sounds, even a simple hum, we are stimulating the vagus nerve. And actually branches of the vagus nerve innervate our larynx from the top and bottom. And that's why every time we create this vibration, especially when we create it in a healthy, gentle, soothing way, what I mean by that is that, everything here is relaxed. We are stimulating vagus nerve, which activates parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, digest, basically relaxation. And not only we are stimulating vagus nerve in that moment, so by humming, by using the voice for extended period of time, God, that's not what I wanted to say, but just thinking about it, I remember people after sessions sometimes, if it's a very relaxation oriented session, people come out sometimes feeling almost high.
Yeah.
Because
mesmerized is the word
so
you're looking for.
and myself also, just by teaching, moving slowly and making sounds, say for 75 minutes after the session, it's not that I'm sleeping, I'm ready to collapse, but I'm in the other world.
Trance.
Yes, just by offering this vibration to my body, to my nervous system, because you really live in this parasympathetic state. But another important point that I wanted to mention is that by doing this continuously, frequently, we are increasing the tone of the vagus nerve, which means that we are increasing our stress resistance, because the higher the vagus nerve tone is, the more stress resistant we are, the faster we are able to cope with stress. The lower it is, the opposite. So it's not only a momentary thing that we have done this practice and now we feel relaxed and calm. It's also something that is building up over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything on hormones? Like, does it affect our...
Of course, hormones affect the voice affects the hormones, primarily because our larynx is right next to our thyroid. So again, every time we stimulate it, every time we use it, but again, in a healthy, effective way, without strain and tension, we are stimulating thyroid. And I think by now, even doctors prescribe singing lessons to a lot of people who have thyroid problems. So for sure. And I'm not going to speak on it from a too much of a medical perspective. I'll let doctors do it. I always prefer that. But for sure, and I've had people come with, what are those called? I'm not going to make up names right now, but with thyroid problems.
Hyper and hypothyroid.
Hyperthyroid, yes. Who have been asked to do, to take singing classes or voice lessons by doctors. So
and I'm sure the happy hormones, because you're also releasing the cortisol and
absolutely, yes,
stress hormones, and obviously it will produce, the oxytocin. And
yes. So
for sure. Let's say if I attend a workshop The second one I attend will be the same level, right? There are no, what I
No,
want
no,
to
no.
know
It would
is-
be a different level. Of course, it would be more practical. And for sure, the theoretical part would be more advanced. But that being said, when it comes to single sessions, I usually try to make it in such a way that people come to single sessions, say 90-minute vocal yoga practice, after they have done a workshop or a private session with me, so that they have an overall understanding of what we are doing, why we are doing. I also find it very difficult in big cities because everybody wants very short formats and sessions these days. So like, can we do it in 30 minutes? Can we do it in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, we can, but I just know that it's not going to bring
It's
the
not
same
as effective.
same depth and the same results. But going back to your question, when it comes to practical sessions like this, as long as the person has done one introductory workshop session with me, I would invite everybody. And in the same session, people of different levels and experience with my practice in particular could be in one room if it's required, and it would still work.
So let's say if there's a cohort or group of 10,
Yeah.
they've done the first one.
Yes.
And then how many levels do they need to cross to be able to then, practice on their own? Or
I think it's very individual. I think even what you're bringing up, the levels themselves is something that today is very popular and common for marketing purposes, because you want to sign up for level 1. Okay, I've done level 1. Now I'm eligible for level 2.
I'm just saying, is
Yeah,
there? Yeah.
Yes and no. I would always leave it up to people.
Okay.
Of course, there are more advanced workshops that I do, but I have to be honest, it's rare because usually people do workshops, they think that they'll practice on their own, or they join some group classes or private classes. And if they do, usually those stay for sometimes very long periods of time. But I know that self-practice is very challenging. Just to initiate is quite challenging. More advanced is always available upon request,
Got it.
So of course, once you have attended workshop and sessions, if the person is motivated to go deeper, of course,
It's available.
absolutely.
So I'm very curious to know the different sounds that you use. So can we have a demo?
Sure. But see, always, most of the time, the sounds would be linked to certain movements. Some of the sounds could be or I'm, for example, in a lip trill and lip buzz, my lips are connected, so much less air is coming out. Same in the because of the tongue. Even humming would be quite similar because we are closing the mouth completely. Only a certain amount of air would be coming out of the nose, but other than that, it all goes back.
So it's like completing that loop in a way.
I cannot say that. It's just that there is the airflow coming from under the vocal folds and back from the mouth. So it meets around vocal folds like this.
It's like union.
And it's, massages. So that's one of the most popular group of sounds in general in voice training, in vocology, in what I do also. But I usually combine it with movements. Yeah. Which also makes it much easier for people who are not singers to make those sounds. Because to make them sometimes while simply seated, it's quite challenging. You need a lot of support.
True.
So sometimes movement even helps initiating those sounds.
Let's double down on humming because it's such a powerful technique.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit more on the sounds of humming, like the vibrations?
Yeah, so
yeah.
actually it's something that we mentioned already, but I'm gonna sum it up. So when we are humming, I think also the reason why specifically humming is so popular is because it's one of the easiest sounds, and also it's almost impossible to harm ourselves by making the sound to create tension because of all this air. God, now I'm starting with the most scientific reason for that, because all the air is going back, so it's almost impossible to make a humming sound with a lot of tension. I've seen people humming and straining their voices. I've seen that, so it's still possible,
Making it worse.
But generally, it's one of the smoothest way we can use our voices because the mouth is closed and because of that air pressure going backwards. But also, humming would stimulate your vagus nerve, activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's also another reason why it is so effective, important. And also when it comes to humming and voice lessons, vocal practices, and vocal yoga, everything that I do, we are working on extending, prolongating the exhalation, which also leads to activating parasympathetic nervous system. So all of that together kind of leads us to just way more relaxed
Is there a right
state.
way to humming? How do you do it?
I usually see something that I already mentioned about feeling the vibrations in the body.
Can we have a demo?
Yeah, I have if it's one pitch, but what I find important is to always be present with the vibration and try and notice where you feel it. And if the person feels it only in the throat, I would at least guide people to start noticing what's happening in the face. Like, can you relax? Can you do less with your voice, with your throat? Can you actually be lazy in your voice? Because sometimes, to actually guide people to release tension, you need to go in the opposite direction, invite them to be lazy.
True.
Like to not just go to zero effort, but to go to negative effort. And then they actually can reach that place where they're not doing so much with the voice. So what I would guide people to do would be to kind of bring that hum to the face. Try to bring it forward to the tips of your lips, to the tip of the nose. Because once you feel your humming here, most likely it will be spread beyond your throat, and it won't feel like the sound is stuck in your throat.
So you would
Like,
just close your eyes.
Just notice the difference. Like, I mean, that's me trying to do it, and probably it's noticeable on my neck. Like, Another thing, okay, since we're talking about this, one of the easiest and my favorite things to do for anybody, for whatever reason, whether you want to just relax and come down in a stressful situation, or you need to warm up your voice, is humming, but while making a chewing movement, as if you're chewing something hard like this. Because it helps us relax all the muscles around the temporomandibular joint, and
it's almost like
have
an
a lot of
instrument.
tension here. Yes. And it also helps to bring sound forward. So that would be my trick. And honestly, you can do it in so many places. Like, I remember when I lived in Bali, I would be riding my scooter, or in Orville I do that. Here I don't ride a scooter, it's too much, but riding a scooter and just doing this while I'm driving. Yeah. Yes.
That's so much fun.
Yeah.
How about the animal sounds? I also remember.
Yes, animal sounds. a lot of fun, and different animal sounds, if we speak beyond just the fact of them being fun and them helping to get into the childlike zone, different sounds could activate different parts of the body, and therefore can be used for different reasons. Because certain sounds you would feel more deep in your body, maybe in your belly, maybe in your chest. Certain sounds would bring up more resonance in your face and in your head. Like if you meow, even now while sitting, I feel it, very much in my face. I don't know. Do you want to meow for us also and tell us where you feel it?
I think I have
Since
to
you
go
brought up
through a
animal sounds.
process. But actually, for the audience, if we can have the demo, like let's take, like you took the cat sound, and let's talk about which part is it working on. Maybe we could have like 6, 7 of them.
Oh, maybe 6, 7 is too much because they're not so. It's still kind of quite simple what we are trying to achieve really with any voice training. We want to relax the throat, the laryngeal muscles, and in general this whole upper part of the body. Then we want to deepen the breath and activate the airflow so that the air that's traveling through the larynx, it's bigger, because it's actually quite easy and it's physics. The bigger that airflow, the louder the voice. And of course, we don't want to exaggerate, but that's how it works. Body helps create the support and cultivate bigger, fuller, steadier airflow. And
Expanded.
then, yes, when that tension is released and the work is happening in the body as a whole and not just in your throat, we want to bring volume to that sound. We want to feel it in different parts of the body, and we want it to feel the space around us faster. And therefore, most of the sounds, they would either help you cultivate that support, feel it in your body, feel your voice deep in your body. Also, it always works in combination with different positions and movements. Or they would help you feel the resonance in your face, because our skull, our head is quite wonderful. There's a lot of free spaces, nasal cavity, different sinuses. And if we're able to bring the vibration of the voice also this high, they can become amplification for the sound, sound of the voice. So we don't only want to bring the sound deep and feel it deep in the body, we also want to feel it here, because then even if you look at the sound wave in a program digitally, it will be fuller from this to
the waves.
Not just speaking of the volume, but there would be more overtones in your voice, and they are only there when the sound is full, it has volume, and that can be achieved when we feel sound in different parts of the body, and therefore when there is no tension, or like minimum tension here. Right?
Okay, let's have 3 of your favorites.
Okay,
Maybe
animal sounds.
all.
Also, when it comes to animal sounds, I would always do them much later. Like I would not start a workshop or start sound production with sound. In general, I would even start with movement before we introduce the sound, starting with the humming. Maybe even some breathing exercises and then humming. But always,
What's the
starting with the
sequence?
hum.
So we start with the humming, and
Then there can be many variations, but humming to semi-occluded sounds, some of which I showed. And then going into open sounds, open vowel sounds. But then again, we want to move from the smaller, like ooh, to ah is the widest sound we can make. So it would always be the last, if possible.
Okay, you end with open sounds.
No, you don't end, because when it comes to the voice, we're working with muscles, and we don't just want to, we need to warm them up and we need to cool them down.
Again, like, can you give us a couple of demos of
the most
effective ones?
The most effective ones I actually showed already in that semi-occluded section, because these are really, really the most effective and the best. And they are the ones that bring change, for sure. They are the one. Yes, my heart
So
goes to
we
them.
heard two. Are there more?
More, but we might need some instruments for that, like certain things. But primarily, it's even just humming and the lip buzz, like it's already amazing. It's already amazing. But I think you wanted animal sounds, so I did the cat sound for you, which really helps you feel it. I don't know if you want to try. You don't want to try, it's fine. Helps feel the vibration of the voice and the resonance in the face. Meow, like you feel it immediately in the face. Okay, immediately maybe an exaggeration, because for somebody who would have lots of tension, perhaps it would be a different sound and it would be felt in a different place. But given that we are doing it already after certain physical and voice warm up, in the middle of the session, there is a big chance that, that those sensations will be present and the person will notice them. And just a completely opposite sound, then also you might notice that I'm using a different pitch. Cats and dogs, right? So like with the dogs, we would bark like woof, 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 woof. And of course, like I can feel it much lower in my body when I'm just sitting. But for participants, I would always do it in different positions, where position itself would also help bring attention to different part of the body, reinforce the sound in that part of the body. But generally, that sound, for example, I felt in the chest and in my belly and lower.
One more. We had the cat and the dog.
Is it the monkey sound or what is it? I don't know what monkeys do for me. This is quite easy to feel the vibration here. One more that I love, maybe howling like a wolf, like just melting down with a really, it's not a semi-occluded sound, but almost. My lips are, what is this called? Like
the flute.
Yeah.
It's like serving as a flute.
There is a spouting. I spouted my lips. So their airflow that's coming out is quite thin. Not on the inside, but what's coming out.
Shall we get to the rapid fire?
Of course.
Your favorite non-musical sound in nature?
Sound of the ocean. I still feel that it's very musical. But yeah, sound of the ocean.
What's that one song that immediately shifts your frequency? Don't tell me Voila.
What?
Voila.
What is that?
Voila? That's the song you sing, right?
Voila.
Yeah.
No, nobody knows that song. How could I? So I guess with the song, it would really be different at different periods of life. Almost.
What is it right now?
I will survive. I will survive. That.
Cheers to that.
What?
3 cheers to that.
3 cheers to that, yeah.
The biggest myth about a human voice?
I think in general that the voice is just about communicating and expressing. There is so much more to it. We always think of the voice as that instrument to connect to the others, to the outer world, but it can really be an extremely powerful instrument to connect with ourselves. Instrument to be used to connect with ourselves and go deeper. Yeah.
Can't agree more to that. Last one.
Okay.
Complete the sentence. The voice is the doorway to
myself.
Getting back.
I mean, that wasn't prepared. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a door to oneself. For me, it's to myself, but
love that.
And before natural for us to make sounds. Everybody, if we're honest with ourselves, everybody wants to make them. That's why most of us, even if we're not expressing too much verbally, vocally, most likely when you're really alone and you know that nobody's around, most likely people will be, making some sounds and singing in a shower, singing in a car, because it's natural for us to do it. It's extremely natural. And it's also very healing. And that's why children are so smart, We're very wise. I don't want to say children are smart. We are very wise when we enter this world. Everything we do is accompanied by some sound. It's not shaped into words, but it's vibration. It's pure vibration. It's always there. And it helps children to regulate themselves. All this crying and sighing and now all that unfiltered nonsense of sound. It's very, very healing. Can be very, very healing. And it's there for a reason. So we as adults need a little bit of that in our lives.
Revival.
Not to go crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And before we let you go, can we have your beautiful voice
Sure.
with a song?
Sure.
That's a must.
That's a must, but anything whatsoever. I'll sing a fragment of a song about love, but about self-love. I don't think there are many songs,
my God,
especially.
I love it.
You know exactly the song that I'm.
resonate.
Yeah, because that last question you asked me about that doorway. What? I don't remember the question, but
The
doorway.
voice is the doorway.
Doorway too, and I said myself, so it kind of, in line with that. So, the song is called "Greatest Love of All."
Wow.
Yeah. Oh God, and even starts with children. I believe the children are future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. 'Cause everybody's searching for heroes. People need someone to look up to. I've never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So beautiful. Wow, that was a treat.
But it was,
And perfect.
in tune with our topic, I
Totally.
guess.
And the energy.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.